A gate opened at the opposite end of the stadium, and a giant marched out in triumph. In the stands, the sumo dude raised his hands for silence. "Good entertainment," he bellowed, "but nothing I haven't seen before. What do you have, Luke, son of Hermes?" Luke's jaw tightened. I could tell he didn't like being called son of Hermes. He hated his father. But he rose calmly to his feet. His eyes glittered. In fact, he seemed to be in a pretty good mood. "Lord Antaeus," Luke said, loud enough for the crowd to hear, "you have been an excellent host, but we'd be happy to amuse you to repay the favor of passing through your territory." "A favor I have not yet granted," Antaeus growled. "I want entertainment." Luke bowed. "I believe I have something better than centaurs to fight your arena now. I have a brother of yours." He pointed at me. "Percy Jackson, son of Poseidon." The crowd began jeering at me and throwing stones, most of which I dodged, but one caught me on the cheek and made a good-sized cut. Antaeus' eyes lit up. "A son of Poseidon? Then he should fight well, or die well." "If his death pleases you," Luke said, "will you let our armies cross your territory?" "Perhaps," Antaeus said. Luke didn't look too pleased about the perhaps. He glared down at me, as if warning me that I'd better die in a really spectacular way, or I'd be in big trouble. "Luke!" Annabeth yelled. "Stop this! Let us go!" Luke seemed to notice her for the first time. He looked stunned for a minute. "Annabeth?" "Enough time for the females to fight afterward," Antaeus interrupted. "First, Percy Jackson, what weapons will you choose?" The Tricane pushed me into the middle of the arena. I stared up at Antaeus. "How can you be a son of Poseidon?" Antaeus laughed, and the rest of the crowd laughed too. "I am his favorite son," Antaeus boomed. "Behold my temple to the Earthshaker, built from the skulls of those who I have killed in his name. Your skull shall join them." I stared in horror at the skulls, hundreds of them, and the banner of Poseidon. How could this be a temple for my dad? My dad was a nice guy. He never asked me for a Father's Day card, much less somebody's skull. "Percy!" Annabeth yelled at me. "His mother is Gaia! Gaia!" The Lasconian captor clamped her hand over her mouth. "Her name is Gaia, the Earth Goddess." Annabeth was trying to tell me that this was important, but I don't know why. Maybe just because the guy had two godly parents. That would make him even harder to kill. "You're crazy, Antaeus," I said. "But if you think that this is a good tribute, you know nothing about Poseidon." The crowd screamed insults at me, but Antaeus raised his hand for silence. "Weapons?" he insisted. "And then we will see how you die. Will you have axes, shields, nets, flamethrowers?" "Just my sword," I said. Laughter erupted from the monsters, but immediately Riptide appeared in my hands, as if some of the voices in the crowd turned nervous. The bronze blade glowed gold with a faint light. "Round one," Antaeus announced. The gates opened, and a Tricane slithered out. She had a trident in one hand and a weighted net in the other, classic gladiator style. I trained against those weapons at my camp for years. She jabbed at me experimentally. I stepped away. She threw her net, hoping to tangle my sword hand, but I sidestepped easily, sliced her spear in half, and stabbed Riptide through a chink in her armor. With a painful wail, she vaporized into nothing, and the cheering of the crowd died. "No!" Antaeus bailed. "Too fast! You must wait for the kill. Only I give that order." I glanced over at Annabeth and Rachel. I had to find a way to free them, maybe distract their guards. "Nice job, Percy," Luke smiled. "You gotten better with the sword, I'll grant you that." "Round two," Antaeus yelled. "And slower this time. More entertainment. Wait for my call before killing anyone. Or else." The gates opened again, and this time a young warrior came out. He was a little older than me, about 16. He had glossy black hair, and his left eye was covered with an eye patch. He was thin and wiry, so his Greek armor hung on him loosely. He stabbed his sword into the dirt, adjusted his shield straps, and pulled on the horsehair helmet. "Who are you?" I asked. "I Ite Nakamura," he said. "I have to kill you." "Why are you doing this?" "Hey!" a monster jeered from the stands. "Stop talking and fight already!" The others took up the call. I have to prove myself, Ethan told me. Only way to join up.